a princess!
Now, Father, you're living in the past. This is the 14th century.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time. This is a slightly different angle. I'm sitting on my swivel computer chair rather than I usually sit on the settee to do these ones when I do the videos in the front room. But I thought this is kind of where I sit when I do the live streams now. And I thought I'd just crack on with this video that I plan to do on the second quarter of the Historathon 2024. So basically, if you don't know, the Historathon is a year-long event, and actually the second year it's been running, which was created by Vin at Revenant Reads with a bunch of other co-hosts, including myself, and we look at the reading of history books from the prehistory period right up to modern day, and we break the year into 4 quarters. So the first quarter was prehistory to 500 AD, and then the second quarter, which is now starting with April now, is from the year 500 to 1500. So a big stretch that's got lots and lots of things that happen in it, and arguably possibly my favourite period as far as how we've broken up the year. And the third period is from 1500 to 1820. And then the last period, the last 3 months of the year, is 1820 to modern times. So, you know, whatever you want to read up to as far as what you'd regard as history. So, could be quite contemporary stuff, really, in the last part of the year. So, we're on the second quarter, so from year 500 to 1500. And I want to go through some of the things I'll be reading, some of the things I'm planning to read now. But what I like to do with Historathon is go into the library and find some books to add to the possibilities. Sadly, the two books that I had, actually there's 3 books I wanted to read in the first quarter that I didn't get to. So there's the Terry Jones Barbarians book, which I didn't get to, which I'm going to have to move along now because we've moved on. So I didn't get to that. And there was one on Pagan Britain, which again I didn't get to, and there was another one which I can't remember what it was, but yeah, there's 3 books I didn't get to in the first quarter, but that's fine. So I'm going to talk about the 6 books that I'm aiming to read over the next 3 months, and then I'll add to them as we go along, and I will probably do other videos as well. I want to do some videos on some specific books. I find it harder to review and discuss non-fiction books for some reason than I think maybe I find it easier to think of things to say that are useful besides just saying it's really good. With fiction stuff, fiction I think seems to be easier to put in a video. I don't know. So I feel like there should be reviews of individual books of non-fiction like there are of fiction, but I haven't managed to pull that off yet. But I might do some of those. But in the meantime, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to read, and I'm looking at this. These 6 books cover 3 different things, 3 different subjects. So let me know if you're interested in those subjects, but also if you know any other books that you would recommend on those subjects. One of the subjects I know a lot about and read a lot about. The other 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4. It's 4 subjects. Did I say 3? There's 4 subjects. But anyway, I'll talk about the books. So the first one is a recent discovery. This is a book that I bought in London recently when I did this big meetup with other booktubers, and I thought this was really interesting. So this is The Crusades Through Arab Eyes. So a lot of the teaching of the Crusades in this country is very Anglo-centric, and it tries to be even-handed, but it doesn't really get sold like that, really. And you cover the Crusades in school, so it's not particularly in-depth anyway. But this is interesting, the Crusades Through Arab Eyes. And being somebody who doesn't really relate to the idea of going across the world to the other side of the world to start pushing people around, it's interesting to see what the Arabs would think of this whole thing. So Amin Maalouf has sifted through the works of a score of contemporary Arab chronicles of the Crusades eyewitnesses, and often participants in the events. And in this groundbreaking account, he retells these stories in their own vivacious style, giving us a vivid portrait of a society driven by internal conflicts and shaken by a traumatic encounter with an alien culture. He retraces 2 critical centuries of Middle Eastern history and offers fascinating insights into some of the forces that shape Arab and Islamic consciousness today. Really cool and quite important book as well, potentially, if it brings better understanding of Arab culture and Islamic consciousness, as it says at the end. So yeah, the Crusades through Arab eyes. So that's probably the first one I'm going to read for the event, starting this month. Yeah, this part of the event. I've also had this book for a while, and I didn't get to it last year, Viking Britain. And just to kind of give you some context about the dates, because I remember when I was a kid, I used to be really confused about when the Vikings were in Britain. There's a map here of Britain in 800 AD. I'll just leave that there for a minute so you can see. It's quite interesting seeing how Britain was divided at the time. And then there's another map next to it, which is into the next millennium, 1000 AD. And you can see how lots of things have changed. So yeah, Viking Britain. There's a side comment I can make here about, I did a DNA test, that thing you can send your DNA off to a lab and they tell you what your DNA results are. And the biggest percentage of my DNA, like 38%, I think it was, is Scandinavian. So I'm talking about my brethren. So there's Viking Britain. This is a book about an event I've talked a lot about over my Historathon videos, and it's something that I'm really, really interested and passionate about, and I'll always be fascinated by it. It's one of my favourite things to look at. But I'm going to look at this book again. So this is the book I know the least. I've read it, and I used it when I did my degree, but I don't know it as well as the other books I've read more than once. And this is England Arise, The People, the King, and the Great Revolt of 1381. So the Peasants Revolt of 1381 was a really massive thing, and what Tailor did something quite remarkable, and then was shafted by the king. But yeah, it's a really interesting story, a real life story that actually happened, and Juliet Barker's book here just explores the sort of radical flavour of that whole thing. So yeah, 1381, the Peasants Revolt. I'm going to read this again, and I've got tons of other books about the Peasants Revolt. If you're interested in, I am going to do a video soon about, but I'm waiting for this period to happen, the third period. I'm going to do a book about the burning of the witches period in history, and I'm going to do a video about the Reformation, and I will do one on the English Civil War, but I could do one on the Peasants Revolt if you are interested. Let me know if you're interested. If you are, I'll do some recommended books on the Peasants Revolt. So that's those 3 events in history, but this next bit is 3 books on one event. So we're talking about the Black Death. So this is a very famous account of the Black Death, and I managed to find this lovely Folio Society copy of this book. It's so awesome. So look at this, look at that, and there's a rat there on the spine. It's just such an awesome cover, and it's a lovely edition of a book by Philip Ziegler, The Black Death. I really am really interested in the Black Death. It's really fascinating. And then it starts off with a map here, the spread of the Black Death in England. Sorry, in Europe. There's the spread of the Black Death in Europe, because it decimated Europe at the time. And then it's got all these different the way it kind of developed. So its arrival in England through the West Country, but before that you've got it going through continental Europe, and you've got it go through the flagellation and the persecution of the Jews in Germany, in France, the state of medical knowledge in France. Got a whole section just on Italy, because that was a big part of it. The plague in a medieval village is another chapter. Yeah, so really look forward to reading this. And I love the fact there's this lovely, lovely copy with this incredible cover. So there's that. And then there's Benedict Gummer's book called The Scourging Angel. The Scourging Angel, the Black Death in the British Isles. So this is quite a new book, I think. Hold on, let's have a look at when it came out. Yeah, 2009, published in, and this from this company, Vintage, in 2010. So it's not that old, and it's older than my degree, and yeah, it looks really cool. So look forward to reading this. And then this is a little bit different, and this is definitely a bit of an ambitious one. So this is clearly a very academic book, and it's from the Johns Hopkins University Press in Baltimore and London, and it's called The Cult of Remembrance and the Black Death. The Cult of Remembrance and the Black Death. 6 Renaissance cities in central Italy. So this is concentrating on 6 cities in Italy during the Black Death, and I found this in an amazing second-hand bookshop I found in York, and I saw this and I thought I'd get it, but it's really interesting. So in 1363, the Black Death struck central Italy for the second time, causing a detectable shift in notions and of the afterlife and patterns of charitable giving. Throughout Tuscany and Umbria, patricians and peasants alike abandoned their previous practice of dividing bequests into small sums, combining them instead into last gifts to enhance their fame and glory and that of their lineages. Illustrative of the new mentality, religious art patronage spread to new social classes, touching even peasants who sought to be represented in their very likeness at the feet of their patron saints. From the centre of Renaissance culture in Florence to the citadel of Franciscan devotion in Assisi, this change in sentiment spurred new levels of demand for monumental burials, testamentary commissions for art, and other efforts to exert control over the living from the grave. In this award-winning study, Death and Property in Siena, historian Samuel Cohn used close analysis of the last wills to chart transformations in mentalities over a 600-year period. In The Cult of Remembrance and the Black Death, he applies the same methods to compare 6 Italian city-states, showing the rise of a new Renaissance cult of remembrance. With this new cult, instead, the new piety grew in tandem with reverence for the ancestors and a strong sense of family identity that flowed down male bloodlines. So yeah, a very different look at the results of the Black Death. But yeah, really sounds quite interesting, but clearly more of an ambitious read. So I'll be reading that as well, and I'll be looking into other things. I want to have another go at finding some books about Richard II if I can, because I tried that last year, just didn't get to them. So I'll look for Richard II books, and I'll see where else it takes me. But that's what I'm looking at a minute. So let me know what you think about those books, and then tell me what you think are the interesting things that you'd want to look at from 500 to 1500. A really interesting time, yeah, I'd be interested to know what you think of that. So massive shout out to the other co-hosts and to Vin for creating the event. This is a really cool event. It's a chance to encourage people to read history books, and it's quite nice the way that the year's divided up. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, everybody.